So I'm starting this video series on here called Walks with Added Talking, where I go for a walk in a nice area and record it, and then later on go home and dub what I want to say over it. So this is kind of just me sharing my thoughts about some things, the process of being a musician or just my views on life in general. I started off with a cover song on my channel, and my plan was to put out a recording every week, even if it was just more covers for the time being. And then to get to my originals when I felt more comfortable with the recording programs and everything, because it's actually been over a decade since I've been out of music. So I've had to kind of relearn a lot of things as well as upgrade equipment and get used to that. Anyway, I spent the past 2 weeks working on a cover. I was trying to kind of transition from the 90s alternative sound that I more or less have always done and get more into electronic-based kind of pop music. It's where I ultimately feel more comfortable, I think, but it's also a challenge trying to get that to sound right. I mean, it's far more polished than I'm used to. I guess I am still trying to bring a raw element to it that I think maybe pop music in general is lacking. But anyway, I spent about 2 weeks working on this cover. Instrumentally, it came out pretty good at first, and I was pretty enthusiastic about it. And then I didn't realize how to use my recording program the right way, so I was doing what would be considered destructive effects, where I couldn't undo them once they were done. Then I couldn't get another vocal take as good as the first one. So I kept trying to work with it, even though I already kind of corrupted the file a little bit. And then there was these forest fires that were blowing smoke around town, and that was just screwing up my singing completely. So I got done what I could last weekend on this, and then kind of messed around with it a little bit throughout the week, and then finally got back to it this weekend. And I did what I could to polish things up, tried to learn new things, went in and added more harmonies, hoping to kind of cover the bad parts, came up with some pretty good ideas that I wanted to mix into it. But ultimately, by the end of it, it really wasn't any good. I mean, there were parts of it I liked. I think I had good ideas. But overall, I was thinking, who would actually want to listen to this? And even if they listened to it, they'd probably listen once. And, it would be the second song that I posted. So maybe people would be like, well, he had a lot of emotional weight, even though it was raw in the first song that he put out. And the second one was kind of just crap, so I'm not going to listen anymore. So basically what I'm saying is I'm just deciding to not use what I've worked on for the past 2 weeks because it's really not up to the standard that I want to put out there. And it's not just the quality, it's also the lack of emotion in it. The whole thing just kind of became a mess. Like I said, there was good parts. I think ultimately I'm just taking this as a learning experience where I refine the process. I know when to turn back instead of plowing through something and making it worse and having something that's unfixable by the end of it. I may revisit it at some point and try to do a good version of it, or I might even just take the background music that I made for it and use it for an original song because I changed so much to begin with that you wouldn't even know it was a cover, which is generally my approach. I try not to just do a straight cover. I mean, if I can't highlight a certain emotional aspect of the song or do it in a style that's pretty different from the original, I don't see a point in doing a cover. I'm not just going to sit there and try to mimic what was already done. I see no point to that. I did get a little bit sick today because for some reason the weather got a lot colder. I've been trying to do all my recording at night, so I really threw off my sleeping schedule. And that's the only time I actually get sick is if my sleep schedule goes off. Otherwise, I'm pretty much immune to everything, it seems. But I also learned that I can keep my air conditioner on and the microphone won't pick it up, especially with all the sound paneling and things that I've made for the recording studio. But now I'm in a position where I can record during the day and throughout the week, so it should be a lot easier to stick to my goal of getting a song out every week. And I'm not just going to put out crap. I mean, I actually want to be somewhat proud of what I put out or have a reason to do it other than the numbers. I can also say from past experience as well as just observing other people that there's a problem for musicians, I think, in general, where they get pretty excited because, they finished recording something and they're happy just to have something new to put out. And they post it without sitting on it for a while, and it's really not that good. It's just, the initial excitement of having something new. And I think if musicians sat on things for a little bit longer, they'd realize, it's really not ready to go public. Not that everything has to be perfectly polished and refined. It's just that some things aren't even good to begin with. So I am trying to be selective in what I'll actually post. It is kind of sad to me to have spent 2 weeks on something and for it to not actually be going out. I almost said to have nothing to show for it, but I mean, I do have something to show for it because I learned a lot. There's techniques I use in it that I'll use in things in the future. And I might even be able to salvage the background tracks. So it's not a total loss, but I just wanted to update things and kind of start off with this video series. I mean, normally it would probably be a little bit more meaningful, more polished. I'd probably sound a little bit better. But yeah, I just wanted to post something for today and update where things are at.